Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about the latest in the Jurassic World franchise. This is my movie review for Jurassic World Rebirth. This is the seventh installment in the overall Jurassic Park universe, which is crazy to think, all the way back in 1993, who would have ever guessed that we would have had, seven of these Jurassic Park movies by now. But in this new movie, though, you guys, we do follow the events of basically the previous six movies. And just like in Jurassic World Dominion, for those who saw that one, the dinosaurs are free all over the world now. It's not just restricted to the Jurassic Park or the Site B areas. It is all over the world where these dinosaurs can be found now. And what's also kind of um, happening right now in the Jurassic World universe right now, and in this throughout this movie too, is basically only the dinosaurs that are close to the equator are basically surviving this scenario. So like places like New York and like the colder environments like Antarctica and Alaska and stuff, a lot of the dinosaurs have already died out there. And so over the course of this movie, we see a lot of sequences where we see dinosaurs thriving kind of in these hotter environments, these environments that are closer to the equator, and these environments where the weather's constantly hot, and the weather's the water's a current a consistent temperature that they can live in if they have to go into the water to get something. But basically, what the plot of the movie is like I said, that the dinosaurs are dying off in some ways. And so basically, this scientist has this cure that he can make for people for heart disease. But in order to do that, he has to go to this island that one of the original InGen, the company from the first Jurassic Park movie, basically did a lot of their research facility activity at. And it's also an island where a lot of the mutated dinosaurs that didn't make it to Jurassic Park or the Site B areas, this is basically where all of them are residing now ever since the events of those first two Jurassic Park movies. And so they have to basically extract some DNA and extract some blood samples from these dinosaurs that are on that island. They have to get about three different kind of samples: one from an egg, one from a Mosasaurus. I think the third one was from like a Bronchiosaurus or something along that line. And so basically, they make a team. They find an ex-mercenary played by Scarlett Johansson. They find a military boat owner that's owned by Mahershala Ali. And so they basically form this team. They go to this island. And they have to basically extract this DNA and this blood samples before the dinosaurs eat them or attack them, or before any other trouble occurs. And they also encounter a family that has had a bad encounter with a Mosasaurus and a Spinosaurus out in the ocean somewhere. And so they basically have to make sure that that family gets to a safe place, gets the help that they need based off of this bad boating accident that this team of mercenaries have found them in. And this all happens over the course of Jurassic World Rebirth. But overall, guys, I was kind of disappointed with this movie. I'm one of those people where I absolutely love the first Jurassic Park. I like Lost World Jurassic Park. I think the hype at the time was bigger than the movie itself. But it's still a good movie. I like watching it from time to time. Jurassic Park 3, I'm kind of an apologist for. I actually really like Jurassic Park 3. Yes, it's big, dumb fun, and there's some stupid things in it, but I thought the third film overall was a lot of fun back when that came out. And then we got Jurassic World in 2015, which I also really liked. But then I think that the series really started to fall for me when we got Fallen Kingdom, and I think either 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. Easily the worst of the Jurassic World franchise and the overall Jurassic Park franchise in general. Really did not like that movie. And then, of course, we got Jurassic World Dominion with the whole locust subplot that really turned a lot of people off, including myself. And so, obviously, Jurassic World Dominion was also a disappointing experience for me as well. And now we have Jurassic World Rebirth, and it's just, I think this franchise is just done. I don't know what other ideas they can do or pursue to put the right kind of life back into this franchise, but 7 movies in now. I think the last really good one we had was the fourth one, which was the first of the Jurassic World movies. And ever since then, I just have not been completely satisfied with a Jurassic Park movie. And unfortunately, Jurassic World Rebirth kind of continues that trend. It's not the worst film in the world. If I had to be really honest, I would say this is a better film than Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. But that's not saying a lot, just because those films were really not that great themselves. But I do want to go over some positives and negatives as to why it's It's not the worst of the franchise. It's certainly not good. But there's a lot of bad stuff here that really is not a great Jurassic World experience for me. It probably won't be a great experience for you watching this film. So, for my positives and negatives of this movie, I thought this film did have a strong starting point for its story. I do like the idea of a group of people going to an island. They have to extract a certain kind of, blood sample and DNA. And if they succeed with their mission, they can go back to America and basically form a cure for heart disease. And they can make it as accessible or as limited as they want, based off the buyers they get. I think that's a good starting point for a Jurassic World movie. Obviously you have to put your characters in a scenario where they have to encounter dinosaurs. Obviously they have to extract, blood and stuff like that. So that's going to make the dinosaurs react in a certain way. So I think that's a strong starting point for a Jurassic World movie. I think they found the right way to start the story. Unfortunately, Act 2, Act 3, even the stuff that happens after the setup happens, just isn't very good here. But like I said, I do like that they started at a good starting point for the story. I thought the overall concept of, going to that island and stuff like that, all that was good. I thought that part of the story, I could kind of see how this film got made just based off that alone. Because that is a cool thing to do for a Jurassic Park movie. Just the execution here of that idea just wasn't that good. I also thought the visual effects were very good for the most part. I do prefer more practical effects the way they did in those first two Jurassic Park films when Steven Spielberg directed them, because he understood that if the dinosaur is this close to your face, it's better to have an animatronic there to, fill in the lighting. You don't have to worry about artificial lighting or anything like that. And then once it's far away, use all the CGI you want, because people aren't going to be able to fine pick the details of the fact that it's not a dinosaur really there. But for the most part, if you're going to do a full-on CGI dinosaur movie like this one, I thought Gareth Edwards, who directed this film, who's also directed some films I've also liked in the past, but I thought overall his overall visual effects choices were good. Like you definitely get the impression that the dinosaurs are interacting with all these stuff in their environments. All that was good, but like I said, for me personally, I would have preferred more practical effects for these dinosaurs. But I thought the overall visual effects were pretty good here for the most part. There's also some decent action scenes here. There's one involving a pterodactyl on a rocky mountain, which I also thought was really good. And they do have to extract, I think, egg DNA to get a sample for that. So that scene in particular I thought was really well handled. I thought the action was good. It felt thrilling. It felt cool. It felt tense when it needed to be. So I thought there's certain decent action moments like that that are pretty good here. And I thought that was one of the better ones with the pterodactyl in it. I also thought the overall mission for the lead characters was a good one. I always like stories where somebody's willing to go out of their way to kind of better the overall society that they live in. So I do like the idea that if they succeed with their mission, they do cure heart disease, they do help a lot of people out, they do help people that are really struggling with their own health. So I like the overall mission of these lead characters. I thought that was a very admirable aspect of the story. And I overall do like this whole laboratory island setting. I do like the idea that, we had Isla Nublar, we had Site B, and now we have this island where a lot of the rejected dinosaurs went. They have this whole monologue about, they could just kill it off for, tax reasons and stuff like that. But if they just keep it there on one island and just kind of keep them there and make sure nobody goes, have all these restriction signs like what you see in the movie when they first get there, just make sure nobody goes on the island. I think that's a cool way to kind of start your Jurassic World movie. And like I said, I thought the overall setting, the overall mutated dinosaur idea thing was pretty cool for a scenario like this. So I thought the overall setting of the movie was pretty good too. But for my negatives of this movie, though, this is a very dumb script. And this kind of leads to my other point. The opening of this film is absolutely horrendous. I don't know how they greenlit the opening of this movie. It must have been a first draft thing or something, because the movie literally the movie opens with, I should say, because this is a non-spoiler review, and it's not a giveaway because this moment is shown in the trailer, of a guy who works at this laboratory for the mutated dinosaurs. He's very negligent about this Snicker bar wrapper that he just consumed. Leaves the Snicker bar wrapper on the ground after eating the candy itself, and it gets sucked into this air vent that ruins the laboratory or something. So there's stuff like that in this movie that really shows just how dumb the overall script of the movie is. So I just did not like that at all. There's another point involving a family here in a little bit that I also didn't like. But overall, I thought the overall script here was a very, very dumb one. And like I just mentioned too, the opening of this film is absolutely terrible. Not a way to get your audience into a Jurassic World movie. I kind of knew this movie was in trouble when I saw just how bad the opening sequence was of this movie. And overall, too, most of these characters are just forgettable and dumb. There's just so many dumb characters that do stupid things in this movie, and you just cannot get behind any one of them just because their IQ is so much lower than the people who watch it. And really, besides this paleontologist that they recruit at this museum at the beginning of the movie, and maybe Scarlett Johansson, because there's really nothing about her that's super unlikable or anything. But for the most part, almost everybody else in this movie is forgettable and dumb. Mahershala Ali does something near the end that's kind of cool, but overall, like I said, forgettable, dumb characters. I didn't really remember any of them at the end of the movie, and I just kind of missed the days of Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, and Ellie Sattler on a Jurassic Adventure. I just kind of missed that. And like I mentioned, I kind of touched on this earlier, this film does feel like a first draft. It does feel like they just kind of pushed it out the door, made a release date, found Gareth Edwards once they made that release date, and just kind of rushed it out the door as soon as they could. They didn't really kind of give this film a chance to kind of have a better draft, find a better version of certain scenes, really make sure that they're making the best possible Jurassic Park film that they could. It felt like a first draft, and I just did not like that feeling of the movie. It felt rushed, felt like they didn't care, and it just felt like they put something quickly together, rushed it out the door, and just didn't care what it was. I also thought this film really didn't add anything new to the Jurassic lore. Yeah, they have the whole thing with the equator, and they're showing that, that dinosaurs are dying off in areas where they're not supposed to be there. But really, besides that, they don't really add a lot of new stuff to the Jurassic franchise. Like Lost World showed us Site B. Jurassic Park 3 showed us how dangerous it is when you go outside of Isla Nublar. Jurassic World, the first one, showed how the park worked, but how it kind of went bad again, and how it didn't work, and how there's things that could still go wrong after you get things to work in Jurassic Park. Fallen Kingdom even introduced the idea of, that they couldn't live on Isla Nublar anymore. Now the dinosaurs have to figure out how to survive in other areas of the world. And then Dominion showed us kind of how the ecosystem was going bad, how the real world was going bad because the dinosaurs existing in it. And this film just had another lore element of, if they're not living next to the equator, that they're dying off. And to me, that's just a very non-exciting way to make a Jurassic Park movie, unfortunately. So it doesn't really add anything new to Jurassic lore, and I was kind of disappointed in that element of the movie. And then for the other subplot I was alluding to earlier, there's a subplot involving a family that needs help, and I just did not care. I thought this family could have been completely written out of the film, and it would have been already better. They were annoying. They complained the whole time. There's a boyfriend character that's obnoxious. They really kind of cut back to them way too much in the plot, I thought. So I thought the whole family subplot thing really did not work in the movie. And also the little dinosaur that the little girl tries to take care of, that's clearly there just to sell toys for this movie. It just felt kind of desperate. Did not like that either. And overall, too, I thought the film really could have benefited from having more of the mutant dinosaurs. Because when they show up, when they're doing stuff in the movie itself, that was one of the cooler parts of the movie, is seeing how these mutated dinosaurs kind of defend themselves on this island, how they don't want people there. When we do finally see this D-Rex mutant character, when we finally see kind of this mutated pterodactyl character. So I thought that aspect of the story was cool. It was kind of one of the few refreshing times in the movie where we were introduced to new stuff that actually mattered in the Jurassic World universe. I thought there could have just been more opportunities for the film to dive in on that more. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Jurassic World Rebirth a 7.5 out of 10. I know that seems kind of high based off all the negatives. There is some good stuff here, but man, this film has a bad script, a terrible opening, forgettable dumb characters. It felt like a first draft. Nothing new was added to the Jurassic lore universe except the whole equator thing. A bad family subplot really drags it down. I think the film really could have benefited from more mutant dinosaurs. Jurassic World Rebirth is an okay film. If you're a really hardcore Jurassic fan and you're not too concerned about how dumb the script is, maybe see this one on a rainy day as a rental on streaming somewhere. For everybody else, I think you can just kind of skip this one. It's a 7.5 out of 10 for me. Jurassic World Rebirth is just alright.